1. Consideration of intellectual ability. The first thing is that every preacher should present his message according to the intellectual ability of his addressees. People who are unaware of the fundamentals of Islam must not be preached principal directives which are based on these principles. Similarly, people who are in the process of understanding the principal directives must not be presented their fine details and corollaries. If the topics of philosophy of religion cannot be presented before the masses, then, without dealing with them, the details of the Shari'ah will also not become attractive to the intellectual class. Imam Amin Ahsan Islahi writes, people who do not understand this system of religion and the benefits of this way of preaching of the prophets end up urging their addressees to not only adopt the obligatory prayers but also optional prayers like those of the Tahajjud and Ishraq before they make an effort to create the true cognizance of God in a person. Instead of first making a person aware of the need of a prophet and the need to follow and obey him, they start asking them to keep beards, trim mustaches, and keep their leg wear above the ankles. They want to see a person overwhelmed with humility and fear of God before he has any lasting and strong faith in the hereafter. Because of their efforts, the size of the beards may increase, leg wear may be restrained above the ankles, artificial humility and modesty may pervade the countenance and mannerisms of people, strict observance of the Sunnah in eating, drinking, coughing, and sneezing may become a punctual habit, yet, since all this has been engendered in an irrational and unnatural manner, all the piety such people boast is tantamount to straining out gnats but swallowing camels. Amin Ahsan Islahi, Dawat-e-Deen aur Uska Tariqa-e-Kar, page 80. This aspect must also be kept in consideration for the instruction and training of those who profess faith in the message preached. A study of the biography of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam shows that the way he dealt with senior companions like Abu Bakr, Umar, Usman, Ali, Muaz ibn Jabal, Sa'd ibn Muaz, Zayd ibn Sabit, Jabir ibn Abdullah, Abdullah ibn Masud would be very different from the way he dealt with the common companions. He would require from them to be at a certain level and would hold them accountable to a greater degree. The way he would teach Islam to a common Bedouin would be very different from the way he would teach the companions of high stature. By merely studying the difference in his dealings with Muaz ibn Jabal and Abu Zar Ghafari, the things which he kept in consideration in this regard become evident. One aspect of this is that whatever he taught to people, he taught it gradually and piecemeal, so that it could become deeply rooted in their hearts and minds and become part of their deeds. It is only after they had fully digested one directive that the next was given. The next directive was given in a manner that it would neither become a burden on the weak, nor would it discourage and demotivate those who could digest more. While explaining this directive, Imam Amin Ahsan Islahi writes, the preaching of a true preacher can be compared to that of a farmer. Just as a farmer cannot achieve his objective by merely sowing seeds in a land, similarly, a true preacher cannot accomplish his objective by merely counseling people. It is essential that he should have the same concern for his endeavor as a dutiful farmer has for the seeds he has sown. Just as a farmer is watchful that the seeds are firmly planted in the ground, they receive water at the right time, they are protected from inclement weather, weeds do not obstruct their development, they are protected from birds and animals, and it is after a long period of hard work and care in which he forgoes rest and sleep that he is able to reap the fruit of his labor. In a similar way, a true preacher is only able to reap the harvest of his labor when he has the strength and capacity not only to present his message to people, but also to bear the burden of training and instructing them. Otherwise, just as the seeds sown by an unconcerned farmer become a target of foul climatic conditions and become fodder for the animals and birds, in a similar manner, the preaching of a true preacher ends up in vain. Amin Ahsan Islahi, Dawat Din aur Uska Tarika Kar, page 152. The Almighty has affirmed that the reason for gradually revealing the Quran is to instruct and train people. The Quran says, وَقُرْآنًا فَرَقْنَاهُ لِتَقْرَأَهُ عَلَى النَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا. And we have revealed the Quran piecemeal so that you may gradually recite it to people, and we have diligently revealed it. Surah number 17, verse 106. Similarly, it is stated, وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَوْلَا نُزِّلَ عَلَيْهِ الْقُرْآنُ جُمْلَةً وَاحِدَةً كَذَلِكَ لِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ وَرَتَّلْنَاهُ تَرْتِيلًا. And the disbelievers asked, why was the Quran not revealed to him in a single revelation? We have revealed it thus, so that we may strengthen your heart, and we have imparted it to you in a gradual manner. Surah number 25, verse 32. Aisha radhiyallahu anha, mother of the believers, explains, the first thing to be revealed in the Quran was a surah from among the Mufassal, which mentions paradise and hell, until when people entered the folds of Islam, then directives regarding prohibition and allowance were revealed, and in reality, if the directive, refrain from drinking liquor, had been revealed earlier on, people would have said, we will never refrain from alcohol. And if the directive, do not commit fornication, had been revealed, people would have said, we will never refrain from fornication. Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami' As-Sahih, pages 895 and 896, Hadith number 4993. 2. Psychological considerations. Secondly, the psyche of the addressees must also be kept in consideration. Just as rain at the wrong time has no effect on the land and may at times be detrimental to it, in a similar manner, preaching done without giving due consideration to the mental state and psyche of the addressees will find little response. Thus, sole reliance should not be made on the fact that since truth has its own strength, it will be accepted whenever delivered. It is essential that a preacher must assess if his addressees are in the right psychological state to listen and to understand his message. In this regard, the situations which a preacher might have to face may not be comprehensively stated here. However, the principal guidance provided by the Quran and Hadith is explained below. 1. Whatever aspect of religion be presented before people should be presented in a manner that instead of a feeling of an abhorrence and loathing for it, people have a feeling of ease and fondness for it. The same thing can pose difficulty when presented from one angle, and it can provide ease when presented from another. If at the outset of preaching only those aspects of the message are presented which have an attraction for people who are at a distance from religion, then it can be expected that later on they will even gradually accept things which are averse to their nature. The Prophet is reported to have said, "Give glad tidings to people and do not spread hatred among them." Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami' As-Sahih, page 17, Hadith number 69. Consequently, while stating a principle, he has also said, "You have been sent to create ease, and you have not been sent to create difficulty." Al-Bukhari, Al-Jami' As-Sahih, page 1068, Hadith number 6128. 2. A preacher should not criticize the beliefs and cherished personalities of his addressees in a style which induces in them the feelings of adhering to their views, even if these views have no moral basis. He should specially refrain from regarding his own cherished personalities to be superior to those of his addressees, and should focus all his efforts in explaining his viewpoint and in achieving his objective. While becoming overwhelmed for the cause of truth and the urge to subdue evil, he should not say something which annoys the addressees and makes them so desperate that they retaliate recklessly. The Quran says, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدُوًّا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. And do not revile those they invoke besides God, lest in their ignorance they revile God with rancor. Surah number 6, verse 109. 3. A preacher should specially take into consideration the fact that since the leaders and chiefs among the addressees of a preacher always want themselves to be respected, he should not adopt a style that hurts their ego in this regard, lest this may become a hindrance for them in accepting the truth. The Almighty directed two of His great prophets, Moses and Aaron, to keep this aspect in consideration. The Quran says, "Izhaba ila fir'auna innahu tagha, faqula lahu qawlan layyinan la'allahu yatadhakkaru aw yakhsha." Go both of you to Pharaoh. Indeed, he has transgressed all bounds. Speak to him with gentle words, that he may yet take heed or fear his Lord. Surah number 20, verses 43 and 44. Thus, if a stage arises that criticizing the base characters of their elders becomes a requirement of preaching, indirect styles of address should be adopted. The best example of this style is the Almighty's comment on the leadership of the Quraysh in Surah Al-Qalam. وَلَا تُطِعْ كُلَّ حَلَّافٍ مَهِينٍ هَمَّازٍ مَشَّاءٍ بِنَمِيمٍ مَنَّاعٍ لِلْخَيْرِ مُعْتَدٍ أَثِيمٍ وَطُلٍّ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ زَنِيمٍ أَنْ كَانَ ذَا مَالٍ وَبَنِينَ إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِ آيَاتُنَا قَالَ أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ. And heed not every swearer of false oaths, one who is despicable, maker of evil gestures, who goes about sowing seeds of dissension, forbidder of good, transgressor, usurper of rights, cruel, and moreover is rootless. This is so because he has wealth and children. When our revelations are recited to him, he cries out, "These are but tales of the ancients." Surah number 68, verses 10 to 15. 4. If at times the addressees are in a mood of raising objections or have taken to jeering and ridiculing, then in this state not only should a preacher refrain from presenting his message before them, but also if at times a similar situation arises after he has presented his message, he should discontinue his effort and wait for some other opportune moment. The Almighty says, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ الَّذِينَ يَخُوضُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ وَإِمَّا يُنْسِيَنَّكَ الشَّيْطَانُ فَلَا تَقْعُدْ بَعْدَ الذِّكْرَى مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. And when you see those who scoff at our revelations, withdraw from them till they engage in other talk, and should Satan cause you to forget this, do not sit with wrongdoers as soon as you remember. Surah number 6, verse 68. 5. It is essential for a preacher to abstain from presenting his message in an unconcerned and mechanical manner, as well as from elaborating it too much and from being anxious to impart it at inappropriate times. He should also avoid repetition and monotony in this regard. Moreover, he should not present his message when his addressees are busy and it would be hard for them to listen to him at that time.